Hi, I'm excited to share that I've opened a practice in Rosen Method Bodywork in Tucson, Arizona. A lot of people want to know, what is Rosen Method Bodywork? Marion Rosen, who founded Rosen Method, talked about the practice as a way of contacting the unconscious through the musculature. What we know for sure is we're contacting unconscious patterns in the musculature. So, what happens in a session, which is 50 minutes long, is the client gets on a bodywork table. They start out with their stomach down, and the practitioner is looking for, where are the patterns of tension in the musculature? Where are the breaths not moving through the body, which is something you can see very clearly visually. So then we use our hands to help the client to feel where they're holding from the inside out. And we use very sparse, very well-attuned verbal dialogue, almost like a third hand on the table, to help the client to get into contact with, what have they been holding there so long that they've forgotten that it's held there. So as this process happens, typically memories will arise, attitudes will arise, which a client didn't know that they've been holding on to for a long time. Oftentimes, these memories are experiences which the client at the time didn't have the resources to feel fully, to make sense of fully. So the muscles seem to help them to put it away until a time in the future when they might be able to become conscious of it. When this happens, when the client becomes aware of what's holding, oftentimes tears will come, the muscle tension will shift, the breath will start moving through the area, and that's when the body and the mind start to shift. Halfway through the session, the client will turn over and the practitioner will work on the other side of the body. Something that's really importantly different about Rosen Method than other forms of wellness is that all of the material, all of the knowing, the feeling, the interpretation comes from the client, from the inside out. All of the verbal dialogue is at the service of what the client knows on that embodied level. So a practitioner's never going to bring in a verbal intervention, suggestions, etc. And in this way, the work, in my experience, avoids some of the colonial habits that other forms of wellness in our society fall prey to at times. Another question that I'm often asked is, who would benefit from Rosen Method? Rosen Method is frequently helpful for people who are already in therapy and who are looking for a way to deepen the work that they're doing there, or they're encountering certain blocks with more intensely verbal kinds of interventions and strategies that are used in talk therapy. So Rosen can be a really effective companion to that. Rosen method can also be used for people who are doing all right in life, but they feel that somehow they're not tapping into their full potential. They feel somehow there's more in me that I'm not fully accessing. So oftentimes I will see people who are different kinds of artists or musicians or also highly sensitive people, people who have that neurophysiological trait, which I will go into in more depth in a future video. But it can really deepen for some people the creative work that they're already engaged in. If all of this has sparked your curiosity, I would love to introduce you to Rosen Method Bodywork. In order to schedule, you can either shoot me a DM or there are details down in the notes. Now through the end of November, I'm offering 30% off your first session in order to try to give as many people in the community as possible an experience directly of this work.